So I've watched TMNT as a kid, both the original 80s show and 2003, but never got super into it, and I've never seen much of the 2012 show. But for this movie, I actually binged through all of Rise of the TMNT, which is pretty easy to do since there's not much of it. There's only 2 seasons, and the second season is half as long as the first. This movie takes place after the end of Season 2, but you don't really need to watch all of the series to understand what's going on in this movie. But it does help to know the characters better. It starts out in the future and we see a new Casey Jones fighting with Leonardo and Michelangelo. But they're losing, and Michelangelo creates a gateway to the past to send Casey back to warn them about the impending doom of the Krang invasion. So yeah, this movie is all about the Krang invading, since they were trapped in a prison dimension a long time ago and are now being set free by the Foot Clan. We have all 4 of our main turtles trying to prevent this from happening, along with the help of future Casey Jones, April O'Neil, and Splinter. If you haven't seen the Rise of the TMNT show, it might be a bit jarring for how the turtles here act, so I would suggest watching the show first, just to get more out of this movie. This film is mainly about Leonardo, though. In the show, Raphael's the leader, which is very different from the other shows. But there's a very quick joke at the end about Splinter saying that Leo is the leader now, so this whole movie is basically his journey about becoming that leader. So you can expect a lot of back and forth between Leo and Raph about that. The Krang in this are really cool. There's 3 main Krang, and they are actually very capable without any armor. They can also take control of different organisms and even machines by kind of infecting them. If you aren't familiar with Rise, again, it will be kind of jarring for how the characters act. But also the writing style. It's much more fast-paced than any other TMNT you might be familiar with. There's a lot more jokes and stuff in the show, but in this movie, they actually do get kind of serious most of the time with all the stuff going on with the Krang. I was actually very impressed with how they were able to keep the story moving along very quickly. There's rarely a moment where things slow down. And that's a big thanks to the animation. The studio that made this is Flying Bark Productions, and they are just flexing throughout this whole movie. There are a ton of very dynamic action shots that just look incredibly good. It's some of the best 2D action I've seen in recent years. Not to mention, what they did with the Krang looks incredible. The way they move and take control of things looks really creepy and cool. The background score is also good, but nothing completely popped out to me when I was watching. Also, again, if you haven't seen the show, the voices of the characters may be a bit jarring. Especially hearing Ben Schwartz play Leonardo. For a while watching the show, I just heard Dewey or Sonic, and I heard Mark Beeks for Donatello. You get used to the voices after a while though, which is why I recommend watching the show first. Also, the Krang's voice acting sounds great. They all have this intimidating cadence to the voice that works very well. If you're a fan of Rise of the TMNT, you've probably already seen this movie. If you like TMNT but are hesitant, I would definitely give it a watch, but watch the show first. If you're a fan of animation in general, I would say this is still a great watch just for how good the action scenes are. If I could describe this movie in one word, it would probably be radical, because it just oozes that energy. Heh, ooze, see what I did there? Anyway, if you have seen Rise of the TMNT the movie, tell me down in the comments, and I'll see you next time. Bye!